BLACKBOOKT.TV, asking Shanghai. We're here right now before this. This is David Coleman's event. You know, y'all remember him from the polygamy video. We asked him some questions. It's good to see you again, by the way. How you doing?
Good.
Good. All right. We got my man's. You already know Refo. You know, got the info. How we doing, Ref?
I'm doing fine.
Alrighty then. So we got two of them, both of them, the brothers. And I want to ask you guys some questions. I don't know if you guys heard. This is a quick video too. I don't know if you guys seen the events in Charlotte. The mob ran by David Duke, who's underneath President Trump. And he's a racist. He's a part of the White Nationalist Party. I believe he's the head too. And he's also part of the White Supremacist Party. And what's your take on this? He was down in Charlotte. He had a mob of white people fighting, pretty much a mob of white people. So it's pretty much white on white crime if you want to take it there. How do you feel about that, and where do you see America going in the next 20 years? You can, like, you know, whatever one you want to start first. Yeah.
From what I see, I think my honest thoughts, America in 20 years, it's not going to be the same. Like, a lot of people stressed out about the events that's going on currently, but in 20 years, America is going to be in a far worse place. As far as, like, the current social system as we see it.
Right. How did you feel about the Charlotte event? Do you feel like it was set up that way to start something, or is that a white people to letting us know, like, you know, they're white pretty much?
I think it's been set up. Honestly, a lot of things is set up in America. Like, why is this getting so much national?
Right.
When black people been treated, they've been mistreated by white people for ages.
Right.
So it's like
nothing new, right?
Yeah, it's nothing new. So why is this specific event focused on?
Right. What's your take on it, man? Both questions.
My take on it is that, you know, there's a lot of fear mongering that's being deliberately done on purpose. You know, so. Hey,
I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, so my
excellent.
take on it is that there's a lot of fear mongering. You know, a lot of this is being done on purpose. This is not
right.
This is not really happening by chance.
Right.
I mean, if you really think about it, things don't really happen by chance. There's a concentrated effort to kind of like play and toy with people's emotions.
Right.
So it's like, for example, with the last president, with Obama, there was almost kind of like this feeling of course there were those that were against him because, you know, racism and all that stuff, but then there was like this feeling, this false sense of comfort, you know, this false sense of like, we're moving forward, we're moving in the right direction.
Right.
And then it's almost kind of like the good cop, bad cop effect.
Right.
You got the good president, you know, the appeal, you know, he's like Mr. United Nations,
right.
You know, got the Kansas mother and the Kenyan father,
right.
And the Asian, you know.
So it works out for both sides in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
So visually he represents the ideal of America being the melting pot, multicultural, and all that stuff. And I think
I like that.
Visually, America reached that peak, and I don't think we will ever reach that peak ever again. So I think that was like the ultimate height of what could possibly be, which is not the case, you know. So, yeah, but you can elaborate.
Adding on to what David said, this stuff goes back and forth. A lot of people love Bill Clinton. You know, now like we're getting information like he's a scumbag and whatnot. But then they hated Bush. Actually, they liked, you know, George Bush Jr. the first like year or two in there. Then as soon as time, the Katrina thing, that plummeted
Shit,
his
the Katrina
popularity.
thing, he lied about Afghanistan having nuclear weapons.
Yeah, and then Obama
Yeah.
came in. He's, you know, cleaned up nice. And then
Yep.
now with to Trump, he's dirty, filthy.
Right.
So they just have presidents that really just go up and down playing with the people's emotions.
Yeah, it's like a revolving door where,
Yep.
you know, people are like, oh no, Obama, we don't want you to go. And, you know, he's like, I promise America, things will be good. You know, the people have spoken. And then all of a sudden it's like, really? Like, all that kind of like sense of, you know, promise is just like, you know, it's like Trump came in, is like, you know, it's my time now, you know, my way or the highway.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like that good cop, bad cop kind of like dynamic.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the administration went like a complete 180. And this is not to say that everything was great under
Yeah, of
Obama,
course, of course.
But visually speaking, it just went a complete 180. And it's political theater. You know?
So is this a way of white people saying that, you know what, we can be racist now? Is it good that Trump's president? Because now white people can come out pretty much like they've been doing and saying that, oh, you know.
To them, they think it's an opportunity to come out and show their true colors. Because, you know.
That's what they did in Charlotte.
Yeah, because, you know, there's like a code of ethics, if you will, where I can't show my true colors because, you know, we live in an integrationist kind of like, you know, setup.
Yeah.
So I have to be more slick about it in terms of like, you know, show my true colors. But now you have someone visual who represents how you truly feel.
Right.
Then you feel more comfortable to let it all out.
I agree with David, and I slightly disagree. The only reason why
Where
I
you
slightly
disagree at?
because
We disagree.
Go on, Ref.
What?
Nah, go on, Ref. What you disagree with?
I disagree because with Obama, it made the racism more comfortable. Like they have an image to hate now. With,
That's true.
With Trump, it's just the icing on the cake. It's like they done with him. He's like their father in a sense. Like if you notice, with Obama, a lot of more black people's getting shot by the police under Obama's administration.
Facts.
So it's like,
That's actually true. Yeah.
so if we're being technical, days were better when Bush was in office, honestly. And I'm not a fan of Bush in any type of way, or any president really. But things was better under Bush than it was Obama.
Why do you think that?
It's just the feeling and the vibe, because I think what happens is when you get the energy of the past administration, so when the last president's out and the new president's in, you still have like that energy from the last administration. I mean, even regardless of who's in, Democrat or Republican, they all represent the same agenda.
Right.
It's just one tends to be kind of like more friendly than the other side, but they all represent, you know, the same dynamics. They just may word things a little bit differently. But
Right.
I think under Bush, it was kind of like a carryover of the vibe from the last administration, Clinton administration. And then when Obama came, you got the vibe of the baggage that the people that chose Bush, not
Right.
Bush himself, but the people who actually conspired him to be the next.
I mean, is the people choosing these presidents, or do you believe it's underneath being chosen by an oligarchy, by like the people choosing
They
it?
chose it.
Yeah,
The people choosing them, or
Nah.
yeah. Like I said before, you know, it's not happening by chance. You know,
Okay, then.
You know, they're obviously being selected because
All right,
the
then.
fact of the
All right.
matter is that
So they're selected.
for someone like Obama, I mean, you know, I guess, you know, it was good that he did, but just to be blunt, for someone like him to kind of like be kind of like on the surface level when it came to addressing race
Right.
and not really addressing it head on, it just goes to show you, like, is there really something going on behind the scenes that is preventing him from
yes,
addressing the racial
Right.
question at hand?
right?
So obviously, it's more than just one person that's pulling the strings or calling the shots.
Right.
You know, I mean, we grew up kind of like being programmed to think that the president's the most powerful man in the land.
Right.
But the fact that you have certain presidents that move a certain way and they're just not direct in terms of like really making change.
Yep.
It goes to show you, like, are they being forced to move a certain way,
Yep.
or if they move a certain way, these are the repercussions and all that.
Because Trump was one of the first presidents ever to not accept no money from the federal from either Rockefellers or the Rothschilds. It's from the big families.
Because he's part of that billionaire boys club.
Yeah.
Although that's kind of questionable because, hey, who knows? Maybe he's the weakest link. And he was given probably an ultimatum like, okay, since you keep getting into debt so much, you're the closest thing to us in terms of like representing our cause, but you're the weakest link. So just take this presidential seat and, you know, run with it.
If you had to choose, this is my last question. If you had to choose though, Clinton or Trump?
Trump.
It is
The reason why I choose Trump over Clinton is because he's just exposing stuff on a different. It's not sugar coated.
Yeah.
Like Clinton sugarcoated a lot of stuff. Like under his administration, most black people went to jail, and that's why if you notice in a lot of documentaries in the 90s, they talk about crime decreasing around that time. It wasn't necessarily crime decreasing. It was them taking criminals, people who they thought was criminals,
Right.
or just regular people. So basically, if you did a petty crime, you'd go to jail for like life or something.
Yeah,
Right.
especially like the 3 strikes law, I guess, under the Clinton administration.
Right.
You know, because people were like, oh, he's the first black president, you know. But then you have this president that signed the 3 strikes law. Because this was like an agenda where, you know, like, I know people don't agree with this guy, but sometimes I'm like, don't pay attention to the messenger. Do you get the message?
Right.
But like, Umar Johnson was talking about how like 1970, 1980, there was like a concerted effort to deindustrialize black urban America.
Right.
So that way the father's out of the picture. And so that's why we
Yeah.
have like a lot of these single
Yeah,
parent
that's
homes.
exactly what it was. Yep.
Yeah, and then the 80s, the crack epidemic. So now you're putting dirt on black youth. You're already setting them up for failure. So when you have the next administration, you know, like Clinton in the 90s, writing 3 strikes law, you know, they already got in trouble with the law so many times with drugs and all this stuff that now you lure more black youth, particularly black males, into the prison system. Right. Which is just another form of slavery under a different name.
And to add on to what he's saying, you know, all he had to do was play saxophone and kiss a black baby.
Yep, that's it.
And it's like, it's from one of the most racist states like ever.
Well, Arkansas, right?
No, Arkansas.
Arkansas, that's right. Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yep.
You heard about Little Rock.
Little Rock? Yeah, actually,
I don't even know if he's from there.
Actually, I think he's in the Black Hall of Fame. He's the first white dude in the Black Hall of Fame in Arkansas.
And to add on to that,
that's crazy.
And to add on to that, a lot of black people have bought into this liberal ideology.
Right.
Also.
Liberal,
Mind you, that being liberal or whatnot does not mean that white people can't be racist.
Right.
Because we're in a liberal state. I know a black dude that got chased down by white boys in South Boston.
Right.
This is Boston we talking about. This ain't even down south.
I have a question.
But you know what? Boston is like the brainchild of like everything. And when you think about like the 13 colonies, you know, this is where everything started. It's considered like the brain of the beast. Yeah. You know, people tend to forget that slavery did take place here in Massachusetts.
Before down south.
Right. So even though it ended slavery earlier, probably before any other colony, nevertheless, it started slavery.
Yeah.
So usually this is kind of like the blueprint for how the rest of the country follows suit.
And to add on to what you were saying, since Boston's like, compared to the rest of America, this is basically one of the most ancient cities here. You know, Ruggles is named after a slave master. Leechmere is named after a slave master. Ashmont's named after a slave master. Charlotte, Quincy, what else? I don't know about Savin Hill.
Yeah, but pretty much a lot of the names are a reflection of who established, you know, the city, the state. But the thing about Boston, Massachusetts is, and you know, there's probably people from the South or other parts of the states, when they come up here, or even those who grew up here, they're like, why are people so mean-spirited? Like, what's up with the vibe of folks where I try to say hello and people are like, hello, good morning. What do you mean good morning? Do I know you?